Magandang araw muli sa inyong lahat. Welcome sa ating channel. At sa araw na ito ay subukan naman natin ang ating kalaman dito sa subject na Criminal Law Book 1. Okay, so self-evaluation muli tayo. At ang mga kasagutan ng mga katanungan na ito later on ay makikita nyo lamang dito sa ating description box. Alright, kung nakanda na tayo, start na natin sa question number 1. Which of the following is not a source of criminal law? Letter A, the Constitution. Letter B, acts of legislature. Letter C, presidential decrees and executive orders issued during martial law. Or letter D, implementing rules and regulations providing a penalty. Question number 2. A houseboy climbed into the ceiling, went inside the room of his master, placed himself on top of her and abused her, not knowing that she was already dead 5 minutes earlier. Is an impossible crime committed? Letter A, no. The houseboy would not commit a crime against person. Letter B, yes. The act would be a crime against person. Okay, you choose between A or B. Number 3. The accomplishment was inherently impossible, or the means employed was either inadequate or ineffectual. Letter A, impossible crime. Letter B, attempted felony. Letter C, accessories to the crime. Or letter D, justified for the crime committed. Question number 4. What is meant by the term mens rea? Letter A, no intent to commit so grave a wrong. Letter B, good faith in the commission of the crime. Letter C, no malice in committing the crime. Or letter D, unlawful intent. Number 5. In mala prohibita, the criminal liability of the offender is determined by his letter A, criminal intent. Letter B, intent to perpetrate the act. Letter C, negligence, lack of foresight, or lack of skills. Letter D, ignorance of the law. Number 6. To overcome intelligence as an element of criminal liability, one has to prove, letter A, deprivation of cognition. Letter B, under the compulsion of an irresistible force. Letter C, mistake of fact. Or letter D, mistake of identity. Number 7. Which of the following has the power to define and punish crime? Letter A, the legislative. Letter B, the chief executive. Letter C, the Supreme Court. Or letter D, trial courts. Number 8. Which of the following is not a limitation on the power of the legislative to enact penal laws? Letter A, prohibition against bill of attainder or ex post facto law. Letter B, equal protection of the law. Letter C, prohibition against cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment or imposition of excessive fines. Or letter D, abridgment of the obligation of contract. Number 9. Which of the following is a malum in se? Or which of the following is a crime malum in se? Letter A, offenses punished by the revised election code. Letter B, illegal possession of firearms. Letter C, violation of BP 22 for issuing a bouncing check. Or letter D, offenses defined and punished by the revised penal code. Number 10. A entered a department store at about midnight when it was already closed. I repeat for number 10. A entered a department store at about midnight when it was already closed. He went directly to the room where the safe or vault was being kept. He succeeded in opening the safe, but the safe was empty. Question is an impossible crime committed? Letter A, yes. The accomplishment is inherently impossible because the vault is empty. Letter B, no. There is a possibility to accomplish the crime of robbery. There are other items inside the department store. Number 11. A beautiful woman says, I will not marry you if you do not kill B. Let us say he really loves the woman. Is the beautiful woman criminally liable as principal by inducement? Letter A, yes. The inducement is strong enough that the person induced could hardly resist. Letter B, no. The inducer requires reward or promise. Number 12. Proximate cause means letter A, the motive in committing the crime. Letter B, the unlawful intent in committing the crime. Letter C, the efficient cause uninterrupted by any supervening event without which the result would not have occurred. Or letter D, the reason of the offender in committing the crime. Next, number 13. A violation of statute prohibiting the performance of a specific act or acts constituting a crime is letter A, malum in se, letter B, misdemeanor, letter C, malum prohibitum, or letter D, felony. 14. An act or omission punishable by the revised penal code is specifically called letter A, crime, letter B, misdemeanor, letter C, offense, or letter D, felony. These are circumstances that affect criminal liability because there is wanting in the agent of the crime any of the conditions which makes the act voluntary or negligent. Letter A, justifying circumstances. Letter B, exempting circumstances. Letter C, mitigating circumstances. Or letter D, aggravating circumstances. 16. Which of the following circumstances is not a requisite of defense of a stranger? Letter A, reasonable necessity of the means employed to prevent or repel it. Letter B, in case the provocation was given by the person attacked, the person making the defense had no part therein. Letter C, the person defending be not induced by revenge, resentment, or other evil motive. Or letter D, unlawful aggression. 17. Who among the following persons is not exempt in all cases from criminal liability? A, an imbecile. Letter B, a person under 15 years of age. Letter C, an insane. Or letter D, all of them. X intending to kill Y actually killed Z, his father, whom he thought to be Y. Is X liable for a felony involving A? Letter A, mistake of fact. Letter B, mistaken identity. Letter C, mistake in the law. Or letter D, mistake of law. 19. It is committed when the police officer or a detective induces an innocent person to commit a crime and would arrest him upon or after the commission of the crime. A, instigation. B, entrapment. C, compulsion. Or letter D, all of these. 20. A and B are enemies. A, upon seeing B, got the revolver of his father and shot B. But the revolver did not discharge because the bullets were old. None of them discharged. Was an impossible crime committed? Letter A, yes. The means employed is ineffectual. It is impossible to discharge an old bullet. Letter B, no. The means employed is effectual. The intended crime does not produce due to some cause or accident. 21. While in the course of a quarrel, a person shouted to A, "Kill him! Kill him!" A killed the other fellow. Is the person who shouted criminally liable as principal by inducement? Letter A, yes. Advised language is enough to be the inducer. Letter B, no. It must be strong as irresistible force. 22. If the participation of one is so insignificant, notwithstanding the existence of a conspiracy, such offender will be regarded only as letter A, an accomplice, letter B, principal, letter C, an accessories, or letter D, all of them. The accused shot the victim. The victim was saved due to adequate intervention of medical science. What stage of felony is committed? Letter A, consummated. Letter B, prostrated. Letter C, attempted. Or letter D, none, because it does not involve a felony but an offense. 24. A person who acts in the fulfillment of a duty or in the lawful exercise of a right or office. What circumstance that affects the criminal liability? Letter A, justifying. Letter B, exempting. Letter C, mitigating. Or letter D, aggravating. 25. Pedro committed the crime of robbery. 1. Best friend of Pedro helped Pedro to escape. Is one liable as accessories of the crime? Letter A, yes, the crime committed by the principal is immaterial. Letter B, no, the crime committed by the principal must be parricide, murder, or treason. Letter C, no, one is liable as principal. Okay, so natapos na natin ang ating self-evaluation sa araw na ito. Submit your answer using the link na makikita sa ating description box. And later on, ipopost din natin dito sa ating description box yung mga kasagutan. Okay? So, maraming salamat. Hanggang sa muli. See you again next meeting.